Yo, what is up, guys? Grizzly here. I got a video coming at you. What we're going to be doing today is we have a ground zero, whether it be fresh wipe or you just bought the game for the first time and you have no idea what to do with all these things that are thrown at you. We're going to go over that. So, the hideout, your traders, quests, your stash right off the beginning, what container you have, whether it be alpha, beta, or if you have EOD, the Edge of Darkness, you have the gamma container, what you should be using into those before you go into a raid, gearing up your PMC, or maybe even if your first raid ever is the first time playing the game. We're going to go over that a little bit too, a little bit more of depth here in a second. But let's get straight into it, guys. All right, guys. So this is actually what your stash is going to look like when you first either purchase the game or it's a fresh wipe in your EOD. If you don't have EOD, your stash is going to look a little bit different. You kind of just have to work off of that, and you might have less items. So just keep that in mind. I have the highest version. You're going to have less items if you don't have EOD. First thing we're going to do, we're going to go straight into the hideout, and we're going to start vents, okay? Where you can get vents straight to level 1. You can get that going. And what I do is I go straight into inspecting items for the next upgrade or for the rest of the hideout. This is going to save you time in raid. When you get in raid, that is very precious. You really don't want to be wasting time. You want to get to point A to point B, get your loot. And when you're new to the game, you really want to be soaking in your surroundings versus actually paying attention to the loot here. So go through here, see what you need for the hideout. Because if until you get level 15, you won't be able to buy these items. You have to find them yourself to unlock everything. So if you don't find them yourself, you're going to be stuck until level 15 to unlock these things, and you really do want them. We're going to be focusing on the workbench, the nutrition unit, the lavatory. Did I say the med station? Med station and the shooting range. Okay, there's going to be 5 things. Those are going to be the most important things early wipe, and if you're new. Shooting range, I would say, is the most important if you're new. You can go into this shooting range and you can test out any weapon you want as long as you have the weapon. You have to have the weapon. You can't just taste anything. As long as you have it in your stash, you can test it in your shooting range. You can shoot unlimited amount of bullets, and they won't use any of your research, so it's a great practice. Med station, lavatory, and workbench. These are all going to be things for you to craft for either quests, so you could be prepared to turn in the quest as soon as you get them, or as long as you get the quest, you can craft the items at that point. So you have to find them in raid. It's going to save you a lot of time and a lot of stress if you can craft these items. So that's going to be super important. And then we're going to go back to the stash right here, and then we'll move on. All right, guys. Once you've gotten the hideout taken care of, we're going to go on over to the traders, and we're going to take a look at them. The first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you accept your quests. They made it very easy and simple to tell which one has quests now. Those little green check marks that I was just hovering under say, hey, this guy's got a quest, accept it, and you're good to go. The first one is going to be shortage and debut. Shortage is actually one of the quests and one of the reasons why you want to rush med station. You have to find 3 Soleil found in raid, and it could be actually a huge pain towards the beginning of wipes, or even if you're starting mid wipe and people are taking all the loot, you can't find the Soleils yourself. You can get to the med station, and if you haven't gotten 3 Soleils by then, you can actually craft the Soleils, and that's going to save you some time. Now, what you see me doing here is, like I explained earlier, is you going through and identifying everything that you can before you go into a raid, and I'll explain why. So let's just say that gun that you see right there that is not identified. If you went into a raid and you fought somebody and you got to the point where you could take their loot and you got into a sticky situation where you needed to pick that gun up, and it's life or death, it would not let you pick that gun up until it's identified. It would stay blacked out. You can't touch it. You can't pick it up until it's identified. So you would have to stick your head inside some loot, identify it, and then pick it up before you can even use it. Those little few seconds, they do count when you're in the middle of a fight, and it's going to save your life. Go in, identify everything in here. If you do at least like 2 to 3 traders, it should bump you up to level 2, which isn't that important. It doesn't unlock anything new before you go into a raid. So, and it's not necessary. It's just highly recommended to save you some time while you're in the raid and maybe save your life. So get that done, unlock everything, and identify everything. And then we'll go ahead and then we'll move on to the next step, which is we're going to go over the container and all 3 of the containers that you'll start with and what you should and really shouldn't have in them, in terms of keeping and saving some stuff, what you do and don't want to lose, pretty much. So we'll go over here and work on containers now. All right, guys. So we got 3 containers that you can start with. You got the alpha, the beta, and the gamma, right? Over here on the left, we start with the CMS and IFAC and food. Okay, guys, the food is extremely important because until level 15, the only thing you could buy from traders is crackers, and it's actually terrible. Like, it's actually terrible. So make sure that the food that you start out with, you are really scarce about. You're not losing it, and you're being smart with it, because that could put you in a predicament you don't want to be in. CMS is extremely important, also pre-level 15 flea, because you can't buy them as well. You can't even get them from therapist level 1 trader. You don't unlock that till later down the line, so you're going to be screwed if you lose all your CMSs. Make sure you keep that inside your container and you don't lose them, because you need them to repair your black limbs. And then the IFAC. IFAC's not crazy important, so you could pull that out and you could put high tier ammo in there if you need. But beginning of wipe, you probably don't have any of that, and it's all going to be cheap and easily bought from traders, so you could lose those. Much easier to lose those and just buy them back at a small cost of rubles versus something that you can't even buy back. Beta will move over. I have the Grizzly in there because it is the motherlode holy grail of heals, you want to call it. It does everything. Heavy bleeds, light bleeds, fractures, and then it just heals your limb back up to full HP without having to cycle out heals. But that's going to be more advanced heals in a different guide. And then obviously a CMS in there. You always want a CMS in your kit. Grizzly kit is interchangeable. So if you want to put like a IFAC in there or a Slawa in there, and you have some high tier ammo that you want to put in there, do that as well, because you don't want to use, you'd probably rather lose the Grizzly than the high tier ammo. But that's all give and take, and if you're going to want to swap things out, you can, obviously. And then if you have the Gamma, EOD, you have a whole lot more room to do things, and I bring the Grizzly kit, the CMS, the ammo, the food, and the painkillers. You don't have to run a Vaseline. You can run any painkiller, obviously. Make sure you have some food on there, because as I said before, you don't want to die from energy. You get hunkered down into a fight, and you're stuck into a room for a long time. You do not want to run out of energy at that point. Just remember, these things are interchangeable. These are just kind of just like how I run them, because these items specifically you cannot find and or buy before the flea. So losing those items and not having them is kind of painful. So we're going to go on, and then we'll kind of work on gearing up the PMC for your first raid. So before you can actually gear up your PMC, you pretty much want to get your stash ready. You do this however you like it. It is going to be personal preference. This is your stash. You make it your way. But the first thing that I do is I go and I sell that Jack Daniels, that whiskey, like you just saw me do. I stack all my cash. I stack everything that is actually able to. So backpacks, money, ammo stacks, everything that's going to save more space is what you want to do. So keep stacking your backpacks as long as you can. And then I auto sort my stash. Not going to look pretty right off the bat, but until you get a bunch of cases, your stash is going to look horrendous anyways. So just leave it how it is. Don't spend a lot of time here inside the stash. You want to get into the game and you want to start playing right away. Get into the game and start learning, or get into the game and start having fun. Either or, that's what you want to do. And then gearing up your PMC is going to be completely how you want to do it. But I'll show you kind of what I recommend right off the start, especially if you're going to be a new player. It's going to be some good information as well. And then we'll get on over to that. Like I said, it is going to be personal preference, but I'm going to give you kind of like my recommendation on it, like a little advanced tip. Everybody at level 1, this is going to be specifically for fresh wipe, right? Everybody's at level 1. Nobody has a face shield yet. Everybody's head is susceptible to damage. Going to be one shot. You breathe on somebody's head, they'll fall over. So I put the M4 away. I would not recommend running this thing until either it's the last thing that you have, or you're just that experienced with the game and you can actually effectively use this gun. Because this gun, as it is stock, is not that easy to use. It is very jumpy. Let's just say the recoil, it's not going to happen unless if you're within 15 meters with them. So what I do is I actually grab the MP5. You come with if you're USEC, you start with an MP5. And the PST ammo that it comes with is actually decent enough to penetrate up the very baby armors that you come with. And then also one tap ahead. It has very little recoil, so this is what you want to use early wipe, which is little recoil and will just dominate your enemy instantly. Most people are running around with pistols, M4s, So you kind of get the jump on them with the MP5, having no recoil and just be able to beam somebody with it. It's very good stock. So we're gonna run that. I keep the pack on. If you want to first raid, go with the AVS, the level 4 armor, make you a chunky boy. A lot of people aren't. Maybe you want to run the trooper instead. That's up to you. But I usually go a little bit thinner my first couple of raids, get warmed up, and then I start maybe using my level 4 gear. Like I said, personal preference on how you want to use it. For the rig and heal wise, you see me bring a piece of cheese and these painkillers right here, because I prefer to use these things inside my rig rather than these things down in here. This stuff down here is unobtainable pre-level 15. So you want to preserve your grizzly, your Vaseline, all those things, even your Tushonkas, your foods. Make sure you're paying attention in raid for food, to be eating whatever you find inside raid, and trying to preserve your food that's inside your stash, so you don't have to keep that as a backup. But yeah, we use these painkillers right here just because of the fact that you want to keep your Vaseline. Use pieces of cheeses. You could bring 1 or 2. We call them cheeses because obviously they look like a little piece of cheese. The AI 2 kits. You bring an extra grenade or so if you want. Bring as many mags that you feel comfortable with. I usually stick around 4, and then some packing ammo. You can pull that out if you need to, if you want to put something better inside your container. But like I said, that's going to be up to you. You can even take the helmet off since you're running just a level 2 armor. You don't want to, you want to save your helmet for your level 4 run. That's up to you. And then also these Untar helmets are going to be highly recommended not to use. I would recommend selling them and maybe getting something else. You stick out like a sore thumb with this bright blue, baby blue helmet. You're pretty much waving at the enemy and saying, hi, what's up? These painkillers and stuff like that, I wouldn't touch with them too much early wipe. Maybe save them until you're running a little bit better to the case, or you get an injector's case. Injector's case will cover in a different guide that's much more advanced, and you won't have that at all anytime soon, unless if you have a buddy to give that. But at that point, you probably won't be watching this guide if you have a buddy to be sherpaing you through. So that's how we're going to gear our PMC up, and we're going to go into a raid. That's pretty much it, guys. You go into a raid. Though now, if you are a brand new player, right, this next bit of information is going to be extremely important, okay? You have something called the Scav. If you don't know about that, then what it is just a free kit. You go in as a Scav, and what they do not tell you is that you cannot kill other player Scavs, right? Do not, as a Scav yourself, do not kill other player Scavs. Please do not. It lowers your rep, and that's a whole nother guide to talk about. I'm going to say that a lot, but what it does is it lowers your Scav reduce timer. You get aggroed by other Scavs or Scav bosses, and it's a whole mess for you, and it's going to make it extremely hard. What I can tell you as a new player as a Scav, the F1 button right there on your keyboard will voice line for you. And if you voice line as a Scav, it notifies everybody around you that, hey, this player is a Scav. So if another Scav sees you, they most likely won't kill you. And if it's a PMC, they're most likely going to attempt to kill you. VoIP is out in this wipe now. It is something new they implemented this recent wipe. So now you can actually just VoIP to other people and you can actually talk to them. It is set up automatically. The hotkey will be K, and you can just talk to people and maybe beg for your life. Because that's probably what you're going to be doing in the beginning of Tarkov. And now, before you go into a PMC raid, right here you see on your right, your PMC, that's your character that you just kitted up and you're ready to go out into the world like a big boy. I would recommend going into an offline. Also, customs is going to be your best friend learning this game, okay? It's a smaller map, very easy to extract in and out of, and it's going to force you into scenarios that other maps might not, and it's better for a new player. It'll force you into some PvP, loot, everything is in there that you need, AIs. It's a great stomping grounds for new players. So you select the time. If you're new, there's going to be 2 time zones, okay? It does not matter which side you pick. One side might be night, and then the next time you look, it might be day. So left doesn't mean always day. You have to look at the time. If you don't know military time, you're gonna need to learn it, okay? So you're gonna need to learn how to use military time here. If it's 9/11 like this, it's 9 in the morning, and if it's 21, it's much later at night, 9 at night. So just make sure you know which one you're clicking on. and don't screw yourself over, because if you don't have a flashlight or night vision, you might be in trouble for a raid. But if you click next, you get this option to go to enable offline. And if you enable offline, you can go inside a raid by yourself, no online PvP, and you can enable AI if you want, so you can kind of get a feel for that. I would go in there, get your keybinds, and get your graphics settings set up before you ever go into a raid, because if you go into a raid and they're all wonky and you don't have them set up correctly, you might waste the first 5-10 minutes of raid just sitting there, and something might bad happen to you while you're setting it up. So go into an offline, get it set up before you go into with the big boys. And that's pretty much the best info that I can give for you. That's probably going to wrap up this guide. We'll have another one soon. Kind of comment, like, subscribe. Let me know if I did help you. If I missed anything, let us know down in the comments. For the people that are learning, guys, it's very easy for me to miss something. This game has so much information that it's really easy just to look over something really quick. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys want some more advanced guides, beginner guides, let me know, and we'll work on them. Until I see you guys, peace out.